Hello, this is Gaggle, and this is going to be the after effects of patch 9.10 for League of Legends. This is a new series, or this is a series I thought of that I haven't seen many other people do, where about a week after the patch hits, we are going to look back through it, see what has changed, kind of see where I got stuff wrong, where I got stuff right, and just how the game actually shook out about a week after the patch. So let's give this a shot, shall we? All right. So first, we have a few mid-patch updates. We have Synge's passive fixed, good, and we have some slight tweaks to Yuumi that happened. Excuse me, right after she was released. So base mana regen up, passive mana restore up. This is good. She has a lot of mana issues, even if you are constantly auto attacking. The scaling on her missile is up. The scaling on the empowered is up as well. That's good. Slow is the slow up? Yeah, slow is up at early ranks, which is good. The duration is up at all ranks, which is good. Just some nice buffs, which I talked about in my Yuumi video, where I felt maybe she was a little underpowered. She still feels a little underpowered, but she is more she is more of a threat now. Like if you're ahead, Yuumi can be quite scary, especially when you attach her to an assassin or a fighter, which is kind of silly because she's a support, but realistically attaching her to the AD carry is not necessarily the best place to put her, but that's more of a minor gripe. Alright, so let's go back through this. Brand, like I thought his E damage is just a little bit of damage, it's not going to do much to him. Caitlyn, same thing. Caitlyn didn't get much better from this patch, it's just a little bit extra damage. Fiora, same thing. Graves, same thing. Little buff, but does not help him come back really at all. Master Yi, these changes, along with this one here, the Alpha Strike change, this big one, and some of the changes to Rageblade, changed Master Yi into that. Now he goes more of a crit build when he's played. Let's pull that up. So obviously pro builds are not going to get much, like people are still screwing around with a lot, but it seems now what people are kind of coming into is the Spirit Sojin into crit to really abuse his new Q. At least this is what we're seeing from some people. People like Scara have talked about this. Riven. So I thought that this would make Riven, I thought this would be alright for her. It would be a little bit of a nerf, and that the Q would help aggressive Rivens, and that was kinda right. What this means is now that Riven is really good in matchups she is good in, and really good in matchups you can aggress in, and is a lot weaker in bad matchups. So if you see a Jace, a Poppy, a Quinn, you probably want to consider banning one of those, because those are going to be really rough matchups for you now, and they are going to destroy you in lane, and you're not going to be able to play the game if they are comfortable on their champion. Overall, this has dropped her, along with the Conqueror changes below, have dropped her a few percents at all elos. So obviously, since the intended thing was to nerf her a bit, this is good. I would be a little... I'd keep an eye out for Riven, because there were talks that maybe they would consider doing something at Death's Dance, and she is one of the main Death's Dance abusers. So I'd keep an eye on that. If you're just a Riven enthusiast, or if you normally ban her, you probably don't have to ban her anymore, stuff like that. The R cast on Shaco didn't change much. The Soraka Q movement display, again, this, like I said, this makes her a little bit better, but she is a better enchanter now actually than she used to be. You're seeing her quite a bit more, and maybe she gained a couple percent win rate off it. but this doesn't necessarily make her better than someone like Lulu or Rakan right now, or Aftershock Lux. Tryndamere, like I said, RIP AP Trend, but that's not even, that shouldn't be standard Trend anyway, so whatever. Not really too much of a hit to any other Tryndamere. Vayne, this change in particular, the final hour change, didn't do much, but the Rageblade nerf did take her down significantly, like far down in power level. Down to, she went from being top 3 of the AD carries to mid-pack, if not lower, possibly even in like the bottom 5 for power ranking for AD carries. It's just that she's so short range and so easy to punish in lane now, and without having that really scary 2-item spike with the Rageblade, she feels a lot weaker. And the sad thing is that it's probably still even her best item, even with the changes to it, which is a little sad. I thought maybe you'd go back to crit, but most people are still sticking to the Rageblade because it still is, essentially it's got a better, a nicer build path, getting the pickaxe and the recurve. The amped opens then good, but the pickaxe and the recurve, along with the parts of the Bork, feel a little better, and it still is got some nice stats and it's decent. It's just that picking up a Zeal item after Bork gives you like no damage, and you don't want to be in a situation where you need 8,000 to 9,000 gold just to be able to do your job as Vayne. That's not necessarily where you want to be, which is why you haven't seen her go back to a standard crit after Bork setup. And yes, Bork is good enough that you still want to be rushing that. I have considered the idea of going IE into Zeal, but it's not worth it either. So you're still gonna be building Bork Rageblade, just yeah, it's just she's just gonna have a little bit less power than you used to, or significantly less power than you used to. Xin Zhao, like I said, this helps him a little bit with his dueling, as the taking 2 seconds off level 1 is alright, but as I thought, this hasn't turned him into a very powerful, overpowered jungler. So yeah, Zyra, this changes, like I said, doesn't necessarily do much either. You know, I've seen her a little bit more, but I think it's just because people like to play Zyra in solo queue because they don't like to play, you know, supportive supports. They want to play carry supports. So that's more of that. Essence River, this 5 AD meant a lot more than I thought it would. As a lot of the best ADs, or the top tier ADs right now, are people who generally use Essence Reaver, making this just a little bit stronger. People like Sivir probably being the strongest AD carry right now, and Xayah probably being in the top pack, in the top 5 or 6 AD carries right now. Means that in power level, not necessarily in win rate, or yeah, not necessarily in win rate, but in power. This change was actually really nice for them. So, yep. And Rageblade, so, okay, so when I was talking about how, you know, hey, this is a big change, we're going to see a new Vayne builds, we might see new Kai'Sa builds, and we have seen a new Kai'Sa build, but it's not dropping the Rageblade, it's picking up the Manamune first instead of Stormrazor. If you want to learn more about that, I have a video that will be linked in the description below. And yeah, this it's the Phantom hit frequency is just really powerful for these champions that build on hit and have on hit effects. So even though, yes, making it every 3 attacks means that Vayne doesn't proc it till her 2nd cycle, and sometimes depending on how Kai'Sa weaves her ability, she won't proc it to 2nd cycle either, is still good enough for it to be worth the purchase. And getting the armor pen and the magic pen is not really like a decent trade up, because normally you pick this up 2nd, normally you have this around level 9, maybe level 10, if you're lucky, sometimes level 11 or 12, where you're only missing about 3%. So it's an alright trade, but it's not what it used to be. But it still is the best option for Vayne and Kai'Sa. Master Yi actually stopped taking it as much. I didn't expect that one, but the change to his Q made him stop taking it for the most part. And yeah, that's Rageblade. The Hunter's Talisman, like I thought this wasn't going to do anything. Runic Echoes, just kind of a little bit of a... I had kind of forgotten about Evelynn a little bit, which is kind of bad because she has been a strong jungler for a while. But she actually likes this. She likes it being a whole camp cheaper. That's good for her. The other AP junglers like Nidalee and Elise are still too far out to be really useful unless you are a one-trick and in an elo where you can end the game before their weakness of not being able to scale with items comes into effect. But this does help Evelynn quite a bit, so that's good for any Evelynn enthusiasts. Conqueror, and this the way this affected champions is this is a 20% nerf, basically from 10 to 8%. This doesn't necessarily change which champions take it, but it does affect its power level, which is again kind of what I thought. I thought that was their intention too, whereas like they're not trying to make this not the Bruiser Keystone, but they're trying to make it just not as strong, and that's kind of what they did. Occasionally now you will see more like electrocutes or other stuff on stuff like your Aatroxes or your Rivens maybe are taking electrocute or aftershock or fleet or spellbook, or Riven can basically take whatever Riven feels like. That's a bad example, but maybe on champions like Camille sometimes now you see a little bit more press the attack, but it's still good. It's still good Keystone, still powerful. And that is it for that. So the original patch notes, if you want to listen to those that have my original opinions on all these champions, will be linked in the description. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this idea where about a week later I go down and break down my thoughts on the stuff after the patch and kind of talk about what I got right and got wrong, I would love to hear about it. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, and I appreciate you for watching.